one, if f of x plus 1 equals x cubed minus 1, and g of x equals x squared divided by the square root of 4x plus 1, we're going to find g of f inverse of 0. This part right here, I'm going to do first, because this is going to help us do this problem here. So for this first part, we're going to look at this. I'm going to make up two problems. I'm going to say let f of x equal 2x plus 1. And I'm going to find the inverse because I want to make sure you know that this is true. So we change this to y and exchange the x with the y. So x equals 2y plus 1. Once you interchange it, that is the inverse. So now we want to solve for y or make y the subject. So I'll just put solve for y. So you subtract the 1, and then you'll have 2y and divide by 2. So that gives you your y. This is your f inverse. All right. If you want to solve it for that. So basically, I'm going to do a table of values, and this is the main reason I want to do it. I want to do a table of values for this one and also for this one. So you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so usually we can pick anything you want. For this problem, it's just, this is what I usually pick. If I have to pick anything more for the domain, I will, like if I need to include fractions to get more data. But remember, the domain's independent, so you can kind of pick what you want. And it's always a good idea to pick around the 0 area. So if I plug in -2 into this equation, so f of -2, I'm going to get -3. If I plug in -1, I'm going to get -1. And as if you can see, we keep adding by 2. I plug in 0, you get 1, add 2, you're going to get 3 and 5. Now for the inverse, what I'm going to do is, remember, all we did is interchange your x and y. So when you do that, what I'm going to do is just use this as my domain, because it's going to make it easier to do this because of this fraction part. So I'm just going to write this in. Now, when you plug in these numbers, you should get this. So when I plug in -3, I'm going to get -3 minus 1 divided by 2. That gives me -2. So what's going to happen is when you plug these numbers in, you're going to get this column. And I want to kind of go fast on this part because we're still trying to do this hard problem here. So basically what you could say is, and we're picking this, f of 0 right here equals 1. So if f of 0 equals 1, then what you can say is that f inverse of 1 equals 0. And basically what we're doing is we're just moving this. If I take f of 0 equals 1, I'm just multiplying both sides by f inverse, so I get 0f equals f inverse of 1. So that's basically what's going on there. Now let's get to our problem. So what I'm going to first do is do a table for f of x, not f of x plus 1. And I'm going to plug it in. So let's do a table. Let's pretend this is just x cubed minus 1. I do a table. I have f of x here. When I do that, I'm going to plug in -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. All right, so when I plug in that, -2 cubed is -8, so this is -9. -1 cubed is -1, this will be -2. 0 is going to give me -1. 1 gives me 0. And 2 is going to get me 7. So there's that one. Now what I want to do is look at this one. So I'm going to do this table and write x and go ahead and use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So then I'm going to do my f of x plus 1. Then I'm going to, this part's going to be like your output. So this is basically your f of x plus 1 equals x cubed minus 1, basically. So when I plug in -2 here, I'm going to get f of -1. Let's see, where am I? Okay, so -1. And that's still going to give you -9. Because we're still plugging in -2 in these x's. Everywhere there's an x, you're plugging in -2. When I plug in -1, I'm going to get f of -1 plus 1 is 0. And that's going to give you -1 goes to -2. So basically, this part's going to stay the same because you're still plugging in these numbers. So this is going to be -1, 0, and 7. Now let's just figure out this middle part. If I plug in 0, I'm going to get f of 1. And if I plug in 1, I'm going to get f of 2. So let me turn this down. If I plug in 2, I'm going to get f of 3. All right. Now, what they're asking is, show that, okay, they're asking for G composed with f inverse of 0. So this is why I did the other part. F inverse of 0 equals 2. And you could say f of 2 equals 0. So there it is. F of 2 equals 0. So f inverse of 0 equals 2, just like we did on the previous slide. Now that I know that f inverse of 0 equals 2, I can finish this up. So f inverse of 0 equals 2. So I'm going to write this out. All right. So this is going to be, this equals 2. So substituting, we get g of 2. So now we're going to plug that in there. So g of 2 equals 2 squared divided by square root of 4 times 2 plus 1. So this equals 4 divided by square root of 9, which equals 4/3. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.